Yes. Hello.
Perfect. Hi.
Hi. Hello. My name is Dani Ross from Human Connection. Today we're going to talk about pervert narcissists. And there is all kind of narcissists through this world. And how the impact they have in their victims. And today we have a great woman, very strong, who herself was a victim from a pervert narcissist, and how she got out of it with strength and resilience and through human connection, through help of other humans. Her name is Sabrina Victoria. She has a company. The name is Human Better 365, and she's helping men and women for abuse and addiction and any kind of abuse that people have to go through. So, Sabrina, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Yes, thank you for accepting my invitation.
Yeah,
so
no problem.
So happy to see you. So, tell us your story. We're going to start by your childhood. What happened?
A lot happened. So I was not really born and raised, but my parents became Jehovah's Witnesses when I was about 5 years old. They were baptized. So I was born and raised as a Jehovah's Witness. For those of you that know, that's a very strict religion. You only marry within, you only talk to other Jehovah's Witnesses. You don't associate with anybody outside of the witnesses. It's very closed-minded. It keeps you very naive to kind of what's going on in the world because it's very sheltered. You don't really look outside for information or education or anything. They keep you only knowing and educating yourself on just God and his discipleship and religion and Bible pretty much only. When I turned 16, things kind of changed for me. I was a bright light. I wanted to hang out. I wanted to have friends. I wanted to have boyfriends. And it kind of took me down this rabbit hole of being a sinner and being unworthy because I wasn't working in the confines of what the religion was and what the religion wanted me to be. So it was a constant push and pull on power, on control, on my voice, and feeling as if I wasn't good enough because I wasn't doing what the religion was asking me to do. So that happened 16, 17, 18, 19, got in a ton of trouble, was disfellowshipped, was back reinstated. And then at 20, I got pregnant and I wasn't married.
Okay. So you got pregnant. So at that time, I guess you were not totally following the,
No.
you got out. Good. So you got out, you had that boyfriend, and then you were pregnant, and then you decided to keep the baby, of course. Mm-hmm. And so then from them, what happened?
My son was born, so like a long time had gone by, at least a year of me going to the meetings or going to church, and they pulled me aside and they said, hey, you can't be dating someone who's not a Jehovah's Witness. You have to either break up with him or marry him. Okay. And I wasn't in love with him, but he was, we were living together. We were cohabitating. We were raising a kid together. Our finances were shared. But I was like trying to do God thing and trying to be a good Christian and trying to get my relationship back with God. And at this point I was disfellowshipped. So I lost all communication with my family, the congregation. I got totally cut off for all that time. So I gave birth to my son and didn't even have a conversation with my family. I didn't even tell them that my son was born. And so I wanted to get back. I was like scared, nervous. I'm doing this all by myself with no support. I have no outside support, no inside support. And I'm just feeling hopeless.
Okay.
So when they sat down with me and said, hey, why don't you have to make a decision? I was like, well, I want my relationship back with God. Like I need it back. I need my family and my friends back. So I broke up with that one person, hoping to get everyone back. It was kind of like a sacrifice I had to make. Well, his father wasn't okay with that. So his father got totally upset and he stopped all child support, stopped all payment, moved out and left the state.
Okay.
And so at that point I was freaking broke. I'm not educated. I don't have a college education. I'm working like a menial job, probably making $10 an hour. I had a car, rent, child, daycare, food, all the things on this little tiny income. And I was broke. My car was getting repoed. I was getting eviction notices on my apartment. Still wasn't talking to my parents, have no help financially. And so it was actually that one act that the Jehovah's Witnesses coerced me to make is what really led me down the hole of meeting this narcissist.
Okay.
So, he came into my life. He was wealthy. He was stable. He owned his own company, and he kind of came in like a knight on a white horse,
The savior.
Yes. He, talked well. He was educated. He would take me out to fancy dinners, movies, comedy clubs. He drove a nice car. And I thought that he was the greatest. I was like, this is amazing that this is happening to me right now. It couldn't have come at a better time. And it didn't.
So you fell for it. You fell for it. Totally.
Yeah. 100%.
Of course. I mean, it's normal, that girl with and you have, as you said, the knight come with the white horse and that's it. So it was very nice. And then for how long was he that nice?
You know what? It's funny because actually not long. I mean, it was probably a month. I started seeing the red flags almost immediately, but the way narcissists act, it's your fault that they're acting that way. So I was still young, I was 21 or I was probably 22 when I met him. But I didn't really have a lot of idea of what a real relationship was supposed to look like. So I didn't know, like my parents are still married, but I wouldn't say that they gave me a very good example as to how a loving, healthy relationship is supposed to look like. So I didn't know, I didn't know that yelling, screaming, tantrums, blaming, manipulation, gaslighting, I didn't know what all this was. I just thought that there was something wrong with me. So I was just trying to do better, trying to be better, trying to.
It's how they manage because they're so smart that you the victim and it's all your fault. But there is like two kind of manipulator, because you know them very well and because you work with people. So I think it's important for our listeners to know the two kinds of pervert narcissists. Tell us.
Yeah, so there's covert narcissist, which is somebody who is only shows their true colors to the people that are closest to them. So in my case, it would be like me, children, maybe a close workmate. Malignant narcissists are people who are outward narcissists. We're just looking at them, seeing them, hearing them. Within a moment, you can tell that they're narcissists.
You recognize them right away.
Exactly.
The other one, it's more hidden. Yeah,
exactly. Okay. And those are the ones that I believe are the most dangerous, because when you get involved with a malignant narcissist, you know immediately what you're in for. You can't really question it at all. Like you're there for the money, you're there for the notoriety, you're there for the popularity, whatever it is. That they're a mean person. Coverts, though, nobody knows. Like if you met my ex, you would actually probably think I was crazy. You'd be like, this guy is so nice. He's so charming. He's so funny. Sabrina is insane. Like, there's no way this man does or says the things that she's saying he's doing, because it's a secret. And they have two faces. They have the faces that they put on for the world, and then they have the face, or the, that's the mask, but the mask comes off when they are around the people that are closest to them. And that's scary.
Do you think, that's a question I always wonder, but I think this man, do you think he loved you? Or I think that when you're such a, no, because you love only yourself. So you can't, yeah. Okay, so tell us the nightmare you had to go through. Even you had like these little red signs, but you did not leave because, as you say, you did not know. You thought maybe it was normal,
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us all the nightmare you went through.
So it's weird with narcissism. And, as much as I love talking about narcissism, it's very difficult to speak about it because the abuse is silent. You can't physically see it. There would be times when I would actually be upset that he didn't hit me, because I was crying internally so much at how much he was hurting me, but there was no evidence, unless I would record it. There's no evidence of exactly what he was doing, because everything's a mental and emotional. So, it was a constant badgering. It was, a perfectionist beyond, if the house had to be immaculate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If I even had a water cup in the sink that just had water in it, dumped out, he would call me a pig. He would say that I was ungrateful. He would say that I was ghetto, that I was trash from Mexico. The lint in the dryer. I remember there was 2 separate times, I did laundry for, 13 years with him. And there was 2 times he did laundry. And I don't know how you do the lint trap in your dryer, but I do the lint trap when I put the clothes in. So some people take your stuff out of the dryer and then clear out the lint trap. I don't do that. So I do it opposite. I take the wash, put it in the dryer, and then when I put it in the dryer, I take the lint out from the dry before. That's just how I've always done it. I don't know what the right way or wrong way is. Well, there was 2 times that he had done his own laundry, and he pulled out the thing and there was lint in the trap. And he went on and on about that and badgered me for about a month, both times, on how he couldn't trust me. I was going to burn the house down. He would leave and he would say, hey, he would remind me for 30 days after that, hey, make sure you take out the lint. I don't need to come home to a burnt down house. I need to make sure. So it was little tiny.
It was
jabs.
Tell me one thing. But did he physically abuse you?
No, never.
No,
there was one time. So early on in the relationship, about a year in, I was at his office and I was vacuuming. And I had finished, I put the vacuum away and he had walked into the office and he freaked out. He's like, are you serious right now? The lines that you made from the vacuum cleaner are going the wrong way. This is what I dealt with, for real. They're going the wrong way. And I'm like, are you serious right now? He's like, yeah, I'm serious. Get the vacuum cleaner back out and re-vacuum the right way. The lines are supposed to go long ways to make the room long. This makes it look short. Are you an idiot? Are you stupid? Everybody knows that this is how you vacuum. Who taught you how to vacuum? The ghetto in Mexico. This is what, anything to jab. So anyways, I said, no, I was like, I'm not going to re-vacuum. Everything's clean. I'm not going to re-get the thing out. And he's like, no, he's staring me down. Get the vacuum back out. We're not leaving until you re-vacuum that room. Well, that's lack of power, lack of control, treating me like a child, abuse. That's even child abuse, I feel like.
Yeah, totally.
So I was fuming mad. I was so mad. But to get it over with, I went back out, got the vacuum cleaner, and I was so filled up with anger, like just so filled up with anger that I purposely, and I did do this on purpose, he was passing me in the office when I was going towards to re-vacuum, and I bumped my shoulder into his shoulder on purpose because I was just so angry. I wanted to hit, like I literally wanted to hit him. But I bumped his shoulder on purpose, and he immediately, within a half a second, like scared the hell out of me. He took both of my shoulders and slammed me against the wall, where my head and back and everything hit the wall. And he goes, "Don't ever hit me. If you start hitting me, I will start hitting you." And that like scared the crap out of me. Anyways, re-vacuumed, and I never laid a hand on him after that, and he never touched me. But he did, punch things, throw things all the time.
Okay, so for our listener to because I think we could go in details for like a long time. So of course, I guess you wanted to get out, but you could not because you had no money, because he controlled everything. Okay. Yeah. So being so miserable, so what happened in your head to decide, because of course you got out of it. So how did you get out of that? What was your plan to get out of the situation?
I needed money. Okay. I needed money. So I opened up a secret bank account. I opened up a secret storage unit, and I started to buy things here and there for a new home. And I started making money on under the radar. I opened up an eBay store. I opened up an OfferUp store. I got onto Fiverr.com. And when he was at, not near me at work, late at night, whatever it was, I would list things on eBay, list things on OfferUp. I'd meet people in parking lots. I packaged things late at night when he wasn't around, and money just started dumping into my account slowly. Okay. It took me 4 years.
4 years to get out of that. But when you were working for him, because you were working for him, we forgot to say that. I think it's important. He was paying you.
Yeah, he was paying me barely anything. He convinced me to leave my original job and to start working for his business. Okay. And he started out, paying me, $200, $250 a week.
Okay, which is not a lot. But then meanwhile, when you were working for him, you were learning, I guess. Huh?
Yeah.
So he kept you to control you, and because he must have been happy of your job, otherwise he would have fired you. Yeah. So maybe this helped you after to get out of that situation. Now, what happened?
What happened with what?
When you really, decided to leave, you had saved some money.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so I had saved money, and I had so at this point, it took me 4 years. So the last year when I knew I was leaving, I actually moved out of our bedroom and I moved into the guest room because I was just over it. I hated him so much. And I basically just referred to myself as his slave.
Okay.
That's what I called myself. And he didn't care. He didn't even care that I wasn't in the bedroom. He let me sleep in the guest room. We had no sexual intercourse up to that point, after. And I think he thought I was just going to be his slave forever. Okay,
forever, yeah.
But I started, because I was in my own room, I started taking my stuff and putting it in the storage unit every single day. Okay. Or every other day I'd start taking stuff. So when I left, I had money in my account. I had nothing in my room. I just slowly just took everything out. And then one day that was it. It was the last bag of stuff, and that was it.
So what happened? You did you tell him you were leaving him?
It was actually kind of funny how it happened. So my son and I shared a bathroom. We were a Jack and Jill. So my son was here, bathroom, and then my room. So I actually was sharing like a little apartment with my son, basically on the other side of the house. And I had cleared out his whole room too. So one day I'm at the mall and he calls me and he goes, "Hey, I was just running the robo vacuum." He had opened my door and opened my closet so that the robo vacuum could go through all of our rooms. He had never done that before. I know he hadn't, because he would have noticed like months before that, because I was slowly clearing out everything. When he went into my room, I had one dress in there, because that was it. Like, I was done. I had one dress. I had like my toothbrush, because I was doing most of my stuff at my new house at this point. Okay. I was just basically sleeping there. So he calls me up freaking out. "What are you doing? Where are you going? You're unloyal, ungrateful. I can't believe you didn't tell me," all this. So we met up. He convinced me to meet up, which I needed my stuff anyways, my last dress or whatever. Went back to his house. He begged, pleaded, whatever. But it was easy. I just told him I hated him basically and didn't want to date him, didn't want to be with him. I needed a better relationship. I took my dress and my toothbrush or whatever was there, and with like a couple things in my hands, and just walked out. And I walked out because the car I was driving was his car. So I literally walked out, left my keys, left my computer, everything, and walked out with my couple items. And that was the last. So he is actually the one who started it. If he hadn't had called me, I probably would have stayed there a little bit longer. Because I was scared. I was scared.
You were scared. Yeah. So then you left and you had some money. So with your son, how old was your son then?
Oh goodness, I don't even know. Probably 13, maybe.
Okay, because what you stay with him what, 13 years?
13 years I was romantically with him, but then I worked with him for another 2 years after that.
Oh yeah, so tell me, so what happened? Because you left him, you were not working for him then.
Yeah.
And then you were trying to survive, I guess. So what happened with him?
Well, he was calling me. He didn't know how to run his company, because at that point I was running his entire company for him. And he didn't even know the password to his own bank accounts. So he was begging and pleading for me to come back. I kept saying no, 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 no. But I was purposely doing this. Like, I had purposely taken on more responsibility. I purposely made it so that he wasn't needed at work, because I knew I was going to be doing this. So that's sort of what I was talking to you about earlier before this, of the manipulation that you have to do yourself in order to survive. So I had already planned it out to be the way that it worked out. But finally I took one of his phone calls about a month later, and I told him I needed a car, because I still hadn't gotten a car, on purpose, because I knew what I was doing. I was literally riding my bike everywhere. And so I told him I needed a car. I told him I needed a raise. I needed commission. He had to pay for my health insurance, car insurance. Like, I told him all this stuff. And he said, yes, 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 yes to everything. And I went back to work the very next day.
Yeah, because he needed you for your job. So one interesting thing to understand, it's when you live with somebody very manipulative, you have two choices. Either you're victims and you're just so miserable, or you become manipulative too.
Yeah.
You have been with a manipulator, you become a manipulator yourself.
Yeah.
Because there is no love, there is no authenticity in a relationship. So the only way to get out, if you have some strength, and you have to learn his weakness and to know, okay, I'm going to be smart enough to manipulate you, and you did it very well. So you were like irreplaceable in the job. So that's how he had to call you back and say yes, yes to everything. That was a nice revenge. So what happened? So what happened?
It was a nice revenge. I mean, I freaking saved a ton of money. I spent no money. At the same time, I was also renting out 2 of my bedrooms on Airbnb. So those 2 people were actually paying my rent in full. So I was living for free. Plus I was making more money than I'd ever made up to that point.
Okay.
And it just saved and saved and saved and saved and saved. But it was horrible. It was an absolute torture. He made it so bad. He made it so uncomfortable. He mocked me in front of the people we worked with. He made fun of me. He poked fun at me. He would strike up arguments right in the middle. He'd have me working crazy hours. He'd call me at 6 a.m. He'd call me at 1 a.m. He'd call me at, if he knew I was going on a date with a boy, he'd have 16 phone calls during the date. Need to do something. He'd be like, where's the stapler? I don't know where the stapler is. You need to go buy a stapler right now. Like, insanity.
Total insanity. So how long did you stay there before you moved out totally? You cut
2 years. 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
And then one day you said, this is it, I guess.
Yeah, I had threatened him for, probably a year into it. I was like, I can't do this anymore. You need to find a replacement. We started interviewing other women to get them to take over my position. He didn't like any of them. He would always find something wrong with them. And so finally, 6 months before I left, I told him, I was like, I'm giving you a 6-month notice. You need to find somebody. I am literally leaving in 6 months. If you don't have somebody, then you're shit out of luck. So you can't, because he was purposely not hiring somebody because he knows I'm a softie. He knows that I, value my work. At that point, I had built his business up so big. He knew that I loved my job. I loved what I did. And he purposely was making it so that I couldn't leave. So I straight up told him, I said, if you don't find anybody, I'm still walking. I don't care. 6 months.
Okay.
So 2 months after that of me reminding him, he actually brought in his current girlfriend to take my place.
Another victim. Poor
yes.
Poor
Yep.
girl.
She a totally another victim. She was driving a crappy car. She wasn't even a citizen of the United States. So she couldn't get a regular paying job. She could only take cash under the table. Total empath.
Oh,
and
her
and I worked together for 4 months of me training her. And during that 4 months, she cried multiple times, like would just come in crying because of something he had said, something he had done, asking me all these questions. But it was hard for me because you have to realize I wanted a clean break. So I needed this girl to stay.
So you did not warn her?
I did, but I didn't say he is a narcissist, stay away. Yeah. I just said, listen, he's really difficult. He's really freaking difficult to work with. This is why we're not together. But maybe you can do it. That's what I was telling her. Maybe you can do it. I don't know. Maybe he'll love you. Maybe he'll be nicer to you. I don't know.
Yeah.
And when I left because he started doing triangulation, which means he started pinning us against each other and almost doing like a jealousy thing. Like he would take me out to lunch because we did that all the time. That was just one of the things we did. Nothing sexual or anything.
No.
Go to lunch. I hated him. But we worked together well. It wasn't like we just bickered the whole time.
Yeah.
So he'd go out to lunch, and then while we were at lunch, he would purposely tell his, oh my God, I almost said her name. Purposely tell his girlfriend that we were out to lunch. So she'd get upset, obviously. She'd get jealous.
Yeah, but of course, you know what? That's so manipulative because he didn't want you to be friends.
Yeah.
So that's why he had to put all this. Okay, so you got out and then you're safe, and then after I guess you found out you had another job and you knew that you would not be anymore with a pervert narcissist.
Yeah.
So after all that, when did you decide that you wanted to help other women, you know?
Immediately.
Immediately.
Yeah, I opened up my business before I even left his business.
Oh, okay.
So,
Oh my, oh, great.
yeah,
Great.
so I was already working on my stuff, working on my courses, my programs. I was already doing mentoring. When I first started, I was predominantly doing organization and time management. And then that kind of leaked into, once I felt more comfortable talking about my situation, I was actually talking about my abusive situation while I was still working with him.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, and he actually got wind of it. Like somebody called
Oof.
him and told him, like, hey, you know, Sabrina's putting posts up about how you're abusive and you're this and you're that. And he flipped out at me probably like 2 or 3 times.
Oh my
But
God.
I told him he couldn't say anything, but he did. But I was running his whole company. So like, as mad as he was, he still couldn't be like, get out of my life, because I had all the control.
Oh my
So
God. So incredible. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
he was in a really weird predicament, like towards the end of our even work relationship, because I was writing these long posts, blog posts, Facebook posts on certain scenarios that had happened during our relationship, and blatantly, outrightly calling him a narcissist in these posts. And he still kept me on though. And that just goes to show the power that I had. He literally, I came to work the very next day. There was no reprimanding for what I was saying or what I was doing, because he had no power.
And it's so fantastic how you, through this tough moment, you know, and that's what the message, you know, I love to give. It's like, even in a worst situation, the most, not, listen, not everybody has your strengths, of course. In a lot of women in this world, or the one who I hope will listen to us, are very fragile. So this woman fragile, they think they don't have that strength to get out. But, you know, you had that strength. You had some help around, I guess, you know, like friends and people believing in you. And you had your son too, that was, you knew you had to fight for you and him. And I think it's a beautiful story of strength and resilience, you know. So at the end of all my interview, I always want to leave a message to people who listen to us. So what is the best and authentic message you want to leave with men and women who are abused by narcissists?
The main advice that I always give to anybody, because I with a lot of people that are in the works of trying to get out, is to continuously ask yourself, what are you learning? Because everything is, in hindsight, is 2020. Like when you look back at it, you could say, I learned this from it, from pretty much anything that happens to you. I could have done this differently. I could have said this differently. And you learn from it. So while you're in situations like this, I say, try to figure out what you're learning while you're going through it, instead of waiting until afterwards and figuring it out. Try to figure out what you're learning while you're in it, so that it doesn't hurt you as badly. Like when I was getting verbally, emotionally abused, I became hardened after a few years, and I started to take it on as a challenge of patience, of strength, of control, of power. When he would berate me and try to get me to cry, I would be like, I'm going to use this opportunity that he's giving me right now to not cry. I'm going to practice on not crying. I'm going to practice self-control on not spewing back hate. I'm going to practice. And I would use those scenarios that he was putting me in to practice my own strength and power and control and patience. And instead of it being, oh, poor me, he's saying all these mean things to me, I took it as an opportunity. This is awesome. This is great that he's doing this, because now I'm able to take another class on strength and power and being able to take things in without being hurt. And if people can do that, if more people could do that and take experiences and challenges and struggles and learn while it's happening, it doesn't hurt as bad.
No, I think it's fantastic. I think that's like, as you say, we always have two choices in life, in any situation, either illness, abuse, war, whatever. We always, I am a victim or I'm in love. I trust myself. I learn from this experience. And I think you learn a lot from that experience. And you really a fantastic example for these people. And with your company, like you do, you work for abused people and addictive people, Human Better 365. So anybody who is going through tough moment, people can join you on Facebook, Instagram, or all that, under the name of that name, or on Sabrina Victoria.
Sabrina Victoria is how you find me.
Okay, so on Sabrina Victoria. So all the listeners, if you want any, support or advice, you have Sabrina. And thank you for listening to us. And if you want to send us any message, we'll be happy to answer you. Have a great day. Thank you, Sabrina. It was great talking to you, and you're a great example.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.